Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Find Your Peak Fitness podcast. My name is Megan Wensky. I'm your host as always. I am joined with a very good friend of mine, Mrs. Theresa Chasar. Theresa, thank you for taking time out of your Saturday to join me. I know a lot about you, the viewers do not. So I would like to start from the beginning. Let's not get into the juicy stuff just yet. Let's start from the beginning. If you could just give us a bit of a background on who you are, where you came from, and what you do.
Sure. Well, there's a lot to say, I guess, but I will start. You can tell we have different accents. I grew up in Minnesota, so I grew up in St. Paul and lived there almost my whole life. Recently moved here to North Carolina, be closer to my job. Currently, I am the vice president of data and almost AI also, a lot of stuff with AI right now, but I guess technically my title is Vice President of Data Management and Analytics Operations. Quite a mouthful. But I'm in IT and I work in the grocery business, and so that's why I'm in North Carolina. But like I said, I grew up in the Twin Cities in Minnesota. So
Yeah, you're right around the corner from me.
yes, definitely you drive by
I
the
grew up
entrance. Yeah.
miles away, but now we ended up around the corner.
Yes.
So I remember when we met, it was shortly after I graduated. So that's I graduated in May 2022. I think we met maybe a few months later. We were playing golf. And I remember on the last hole, I don't know how we got in the conversation, but we were in the middle of the fairway for once. And you said to me that you used to be obese. And I was like, what? I was like, there's no way.
Morbidly obese.
And I remember I was like, there's no way. And then you showed me a photo. And I was like, there's no way that's you. And then you told me your story very briefly. And since then, we've had many conversations about it. And it still inspires me. I still think it's amazing. And now I know you, I'm kind of like, I could totally see how you just flicked a switch and went with it. But give us some background into that. Kind of what led you to that point?
Yeah, so as I said, I'm in IT at an executive level, which is very stressful for anyone, not just women in IT, the stress of being an executive. So I had grown up through promotion and promotion. I think at Justin's, I was there, which is the Super Bowl ring company, for 13 years. I think I got a promotion every 18 months. So it was always like the next challenge, the next challenge, the next challenge, which I love, but the stress just continued to grow on me. And the company was bought and sold probably like 5 times in the last 7 years that I was there. So it was always like trying to keep your job. Like, okay, there's 25, infrastructure directors and only 5 get jobs. Like, how do you like do your job and always be interviewing for the next job? But then, publicly traded and private equity, and anybody who's been in that world, you know how stressful it is. So I didn't find time to even walk. I didn't exercise. And then you're always with vendors, you're going out to happy hour, so you're drinking alcohol and you're eating, fun foods, and then you go home and you crash, and then it's just you do it. You're just on this cycle of just poor habits of no exercise, eating like out, right? And then you're at a restaurant or you're at a bar and you're drinking alcohol, which is all those things are a really bad combination. So I'm 5'2¾", almost 5'3".
Yeah, that's 3 quarters in.
But after I worked on my posture, I almost got to 5'3". I
I
couldn't do
tell people
5'3".
that when you start working out, you probably grow an inch because your posture gets better.
Yes, definitely. I can
Yeah,
be 5'3"
I
if
do
I
too. Like
if I cheat.
I've not measured myself in a while, but I think I'm like a solid 5'9" now. I used to be 5'8". I think I'm a solid 5'9".
It's a big guess. Posture is important. Like figuring that out. 261 was where I was at 5'3". So we won't do the phone thing, but I could show you the picture. It definitely doesn't look like me for sure.
It doesn't.
And I have to tell you, I was terrified to golf with you that day because
I remember you told me when we just met, and then I just turned pro, I think, at the time,
right.
or I was like,
So
oh, I can't remember.
I had only golfed. That was my first season of golfing, right? So I was an athlete, but I didn't know how to golf. So I went golfing, and then the first time with Mickey, I'm like, I go, what? And then Nick is like, well, he's seen 100,000 really bad golfers. Don't worry, like it's not a big deal. So then I'm like, okay. And he was so nice, it was fine. And then he said you were going to be there, and I'm like, now you brought like the professional woman golfer. I don't think I can handle this. And he's like, she's nice too. It's okay. Don't
Oh my
worry. And
goodness.
and you guys are both lovely.
Yeah, just for
And
people that don't know, Mickey is my husband. Nick is a good friend of ours. So we're like our little foursome, that's like the
yes.
OGs. But yeah, even to this day, like people genuinely won't play with us because they know that we both play professionally. But once we say like,
More time
you
for
guys
me.
don't
That's
care, like,
awesome. You don't need
yeah,
to play with anybody else. Just bring
like they
me.
get nervous. I'm like, please, I feel so bad. I'm like, and then once we play a few holes and they, hear my bad language come out and I'm just kind of joking around and whatever it is, like, then they're fine. But they think that
I'm
we're gonna
definitely
do
worse than you.
yeah, but I remember you told me that, and I was like, no, don't be nervous. I was kind of nervous. I'll admit now, I was a little nervous because me and Mickey, like, we'd only met a couple of times, so I was a little nervous to
Yep.
play with him because obviously he's former professional, and obviously his brother was on the tour at the time, and so. But I get it; it's a nerve-wracking thing. Yeah, golf is, but it's kind of the same with the gym. Like when you walk into the gym, you think everyone's looking at you. When
Yes.
really no everyone's looking at themselves. Same with golf. Like I don't look at you. I wasn't like, oh my goodness, look at her swing. With Nick, now Nick, I am. I'm like, slow down.
My God, we're going to talk about health and fitness, but my I've gotten better at golf because I followed the one tip that you gave me accidentally, and that was like your dad kept telling you to keep your head down.
I knew you were gonna say that. Yeah.
Yes, and then then you didn't do so well, and then you were in the car like this, and he's like, feels like you got your head down now.
I know. That's something my dad would say, and then I can just picture it. I mean, me and my dad had a lot of arguments growing up, as you do. Like father-daughter relationships, it's tested, put it that way. But it's also very rewarding. It is. But that is exactly something my dad would say. He loves, even to this day, to wind me up, and he knows he can. So now I've sort of understood that I just need to shut up and not give him the satisfaction, but sometimes it can be difficult.
Yes, sometimes when fathers are right, it's hard.
Yeah, and he knows it.
Uh,
He knows it.
but I think back to like your analogy with going to the gym, the thing for me was it reminded me fundamentals are so important. Like, really, if I literally just keep my head down when I am swinging, my natural athletic ability does everything right. Like the club, like you buy these really expensive clubs, like they're designed to do everything right. So it's all about fundamentals. And I think, with fitness too, I grew up, started competitively swimming at age 10. My mom needed something for my brother to do, so threw him in the pool at age, 13, I guess. So I was 10, and we went together. And so you're competitively swimming, which is basically every day during the week, in the summer twice a day, and then in the weekends you have competitions all year round except for the month of August. So and my brother is a lot taller than me. He's like 6'3", right? So he's a foot taller than me. So he was like a 12-time All-American in college and so forth, and just an amazing swimmer. But you learn the discipline, but you're always learning how to do fundamentals.
Hmm.
And when you work out, I think that whole lifetime of athletics helped me in the gym because I do know like how to use the equipment right, and I do know like my posture right, but you always need someone to help you with that. And you can never, people always want to help in the gym too. If you're like, I don't know how to use the Smith machine or whatever it's called, right? People will help. But as long as you like continue to focus on your fundamentals, then you're not going to hurt yourself, and you're just going to like do better, right? Just like golf, it's like fundamentals. Everything you do is just like back. Don't try to do crazy stuff. Just do the fundamentals. I guess even in fitness, like, the military boot camp, they do push-ups and jumping jacks and running, and look how good they look after boot camp. So sometimes it doesn't have to be hard. You just have to do it.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, like golf and gym related, we'll start with golf first. Yeah, like people try and hit the low hook and stinger, and I'm like, and they can't even grip the golf club properly. And if you look at Scotty Scheffler right now, he's world number one all the time. It's all he does is work on his grip. If you look at his pre-shot routine, it's grip, and that's
Yep.
something near the end of my kind of when I was coming out of golf. But that's all I worked on was my alignment, Grip pressure was big for me.
Mhm.
But even with the gym, it's something I try to teach my clients is that don't worry about, if you're getting all amino acids in like in your diet, like if you're not eating enough protein, like it's they kind of overcomplicate it, or it's like they're in the gym and it's, oh, like should I is my elbows okay or should they be here? And I'm like, you're in a fixed chest press machine, just flip and lift it. We'll worry
Right.
about your degrees or not later. So it's fundamentals are so important, and honestly in anything. I think in anything they really are.
I think so too, really. Back to the basics.
Mm.
The other thing I think about with machines, because sometimes you go to a machine you never used before, and I figure like if I get the machines like joints lined up with my joints, then after that I'm not worried. Then I'm not gonna
Yeah.
like do something
Before you
wrong.
can't really go wrong. For beginners, that's kind of a good starting point because you're in a fixed plane. You're not really going to hurt yourself.
Right, exactly. Get to the fixed plane, and then you're like you're good.
Yeah. And then just kind of go from there, and then you can start adding in free weights or whatever it is. But yeah, so let's go back a little bit. So we've kind of,
All right,
I
I'm
knew
going
this,
all over the
I knew this
board.
would happen. I mean, put us in a room, we could just talk and talk and talk. But
Right.
so let's go back to,
We have to make
so
this interesting to the listeners.
I know. Trying to make like chapters of this is going to be difficult. But let's go back to, so you're working promotion after promotion, your health, your pretty much
Oh yeah,
partying. Yeah,
yeah.
just, yeah. So,
So I'm in Minneapolis. It's March 2020, right? So the pandemic. I was flying back and forth to the Dominican Republic, setting up a call center down there, and it kept flying through like JFK, and I'm like, in the beginning you're like, all those times we were in the airport, like, did we get sick or something? And so it was just like the fear was a lot back then. And sometimes we forget about how scary it was in the beginning of 2020. So then March of 2020 hits, right? We all go work at home. I'm working for a school-based business, like I said, Justin's yearbooks, cap and gowns, and May is graduation time, and everyone in the country, 18,000 schools, wants to know where's their cap and gown, where's their diploma, and the the pressure was crazy. The we had phone calls for 16 hours a day, every day. There was no Sunday off or whatever. We had back then. We did your whole internet team system wasn't set up as good, right? We had to like switch out the battery on our headsets every 4 hours and keep charging and and then it was Minneapolis in May of 2020. So I'm in Uptown. I lived in an old building, 1970s, beautiful, beautiful old beach club building, right on the lake. But it one of those old systems that you can't just turn your air conditioner on or your heat on yourself. Like the whole building has to like put the big lever and go over to air from heat. So we had it turned off, right? So we had no air conditioning. It's May, so you got the windows open because you're hot. I got like George Floyd right outside the door. I don't know if people I don't want to get into politics, but like Minneapolis was crazy. So it was always mute the phone, Theresa. Too many sirens and helicopters and horns, and I'm like within that 5 mile radius, and so I've got that going on outside, and I've got 16 hours of calls, and I was just ridiculously stressed out. Um, and just trying to like soothe myself again, with alcohol and with eating. And then once you start drinking alcohol, you're like, oh, I'm gonna eat something bad, right? And so it was just this cycle. And I, just one night, um, May 21st, I was just like, I think what happened is that I had stopped. Yeah, I was so busy that I actually didn't have time to, have a glass of wine. And I just get such a bad headache. And I was like, what's going on? And then finally I just realized, I'm like, I think I should really just stop drinking. I should just stop alcohol completely. Um, and I should start taking care of myself because I'm not going to make it through this. I'm not going to make it through the pandemic. I'm not going to make it through like whatever's going on in my neighborhood. I mean, I'm not. And so I just quit and I'm like, I'm done. And then I started to feel better like right away. And I'm like, this is great. And then I'm like, well, maybe now I could start working on exercise, right? And so I'm like, okay. So I'm gonna, they say do 30 minutes of walking. That's all you gotta do. And I'm like, well, if I tell myself I just have to walk one direction for 15 minutes, there's a lake across the street. It's beautiful. I look at it every day. You can walk around it. There's one over here, one over here. I mean, I lived in the middle of 5 lakes, right? So, it was beautiful walking. And all I had to do was just walk 15 minutes in one direction. 14 and a half, 15. Turn around and go back. But that's 15 minutes back. So you get back and you're like, I did 30 minutes of walking. So I was like, this is working. This is great. And I had read, right at that time, quick reader, so I kind of plowed through the Obesity Code, which is a great book because it just talked about how insulin works. You get insulin resistance when you're that overweight. And so I just tried to eat like a diabetic. I'm like, okay, I'm going to do 15 carbs a meal. I'm not going to stress out about it. I'm just going to try to do that. But that gets rid of pasta, rice, tortillas, bread, those 4 things right there, and alcohol, right? Just those are the 5 things I cut out of my diet. Nothing else, nothing crazy. And just started walking 15 minutes and 15 minutes back. And I lost 1 pound a day every day. I lost 50 pounds in 50 days.
It's flipping nuts.
I know, seriously. And I have the photographic evidence. I'm not lying.
I know, I've seen it.
Put it in me. And
send it to me if you want. I can always put it on the screen so viewers can see it. Because
I can't.
It's unbelievable. I remember you showed me one of I think your way to go diving or swimming or something. That's when your body fat percentage was single digits, and you were
great.
Ripped. That's when it was roughly. I remember when I met you, you were ripped. That's when you said
I was. I need to get a little bit. I need to go back there a little bit. But yeah, 50 pounds in 50 days, and then it took me 7 months, and I lost 120 pounds. And then the nice thing is my apartment building in Minneapolis had a pool, and no one really wanted to use the pool, so it was great. So I had a whole pool to myself, and I said I was a swimmer, and I was like, oh, I can do this again. And I can swim, and it's such a great workout. Swimming, if you're a swimmer, get back in the pool and swim because it is a great workout if you have access to a pool, which isn't always easy. But so then I thought, hey, I could, join the master swimming program. I could go do a swim meet. And so I did. And I'm like, and I remembered how much I hate going to swim meets. It's just this is terrible. This is the dumbest thing I ever decided to do. My brother does it, And one time I asked him, he's like, oh, I did that. I was working a job down in Iowa, and I did the Iowa Masters State Meet. And I go, oh, how'd you do? He's like, I won. I go, what'd you win? He's like, everything. And I'm like, dude.
He was one of them.
Right. So I went, and and I did. The cool thing was the very first time I ever saw myself swimming, because, back when I swam, there was no video cameras, right? Mm-hmm. But they posted it on YouTube, and I'm like, hey, that's me. Look, wow, my freestyle does have a little bit of a hitch in it, but, the stroke is great. And so it was really fun to watch the video, but I hated everything about it. It was just ridiculous. But I got on the mailing list. And I got an invite for, Kobe a swim angel for triathlons. And I'm like, so I wrote back. I'm like, what's this swim angel thing? And they're like, well, you're in the water with the athletes because some of them are afraid to swim and you want to have safety. And sometimes they start swimming off the wrong, because you're in a lake, right? They swim off the wrong direction, or they don't know which buoy to go around because there's the different ones for each, if it's a sprint or super sprint or whatever, they got to go different distances. And they need people to be in the water with the swimmers. And then if they have trouble, you have this buoy around your waist and with a rope on it, and you hand it to them, and then they can just wait. And then they can calm down, and then you can talk to them, and then they can swim again, or you can swim with them. And I'm like, that sounds fun. So I started doing it. So I did 6 swim angel, triathlons. And I'm like, why are we in the water? And the high school kids get to be on the, the paddle boards. And then someone's like, would you want them to save us? Or you or us? I'm like, good point. The 50-year-olds are much better to do the saving and the calming people down. So that's why they got the high school kids and the paddle boards, and then the rescue and the boats, of course. But anyway, so then I'm like, well, why don't I just get a bike and do this myself? So I bought a bicycle and I did a couple triathlons, which was super fun, and I was so proud of myself. Yeah. I didn't think I was going to tear up during this, but the first time I did the bike, you do the swim, which cruise through, and then we were coming down around a corner, and there's a county sheriff holding the traffic back, and I'm like, for me, like I'm doing this. So
That's really cool.
it,
You're good.
it was cool. I
Yeah.
didn't think I was gonna cry, but
I think you'd be there. I don't think yeah. That's really
I
cool.
thought, like, I never thought I could do that. I never thought I'd be that person.
It's so crazy because like I've only known you for like such a small part of your life, and I'm like, are you nuts? Of course you could do that. Absolutely, you could do it again. Okay, I see it. Absolutely. That's kind of why you're one of the top on my list for to have on as guests because I know
Well, the
your story is so inspiring, and it's people can get in their own heads and they can stop them from doing what they want to do, what they need to do, and you for some reason I don't know what it is, but something clicked, and you when I know you well enough now. When something's in your brain, you go after it, and I admire that about you. That's why I look up to you a ton.
thank you.
I think you know that.
I think, yeah, I think I've sometimes when someone says that, I forget that that is the way I am. Like if I do decide to do something, I'm going to do it.
And it's a good
Um,
trait. It's a good trait. Like you follow through, and it's something that's being sticking to your word is very powerful. And I'm not meaning if you tell someone else you're going to do something, when you tell yourself you're going to do something, you do it. It's way more powerful than people think.
that's true.
You got to be able to you got to trust yourself, and it's something I try really hard to. If I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. I think I'm learning. I'm kind of wired that way too.
I think that's why we're friends.
I think so too. We're both flipping nuts.
I know. And then sometimes I'm like, but then sometimes, not that I go overboard, but I'm like, okay, I don't even want to tell myself to do it because then my brain will be like, let's do this. And then it's going to do it all the way.
Mhm.
So,
It's hard.
um,
It's I always say this, like I'm learning. I find it very difficult to half-arse things. Hence why by the time this is released, I'll still be at my job. But hence why I just resigned from my in-person training because I'm doing my online coaching and my in-person, and I can feel the quality's dropping. So I'm like, something's got to give. Okay, I'm going all in. I'll
yep.
go online. So I think it's a great trait though. What's the quote? I'm awful with like remembering quotes, but it's like jack of all trades, master of none. Is that right?
Jack of all trades, master of none. Yes.
Yeah.
I have well, interesting that you say that. Um, because I feel like, well, I won't go off on that tangent. Never mind.
It's like not in a bad way. Because like I think it's not like
No,
you're only good at
exactly.
one thing. Like you
Right.
have so many different hats and you've got like accomplished so many different things throughout your life. It's not like you've not mastered.
Right, exactly.
You know what I'm
So that's
saying?
why, like, sometimes people, that's why I was going to go
Yeah.
down that path. Sometimes people say that negatively.
I
And I don't
think
think
it
that's
depends on the
true.
context.
Yeah,
Context.
I agree. And sometimes people are technicians and they're very good. They do one thing, they do it really well, they've mastered it. And there's a, there's a wonderfulness of that. There's a beauty in that. Totally not my style. I'm like the look at the big picture, kind of the
Hmm.
strategist, analyze everything, lifelong learner, like learn everything about something. And then once I figure it out, I'm like the positivity switch in my brain turns on, and then the achiever, and it's like we're gonna get this done.
Yeah.
But also I think today as technology changes, not that I'm gonna get into a technology thing, but as technology changes, especially with the use of AI and how it's coming, whether we like it or not, you know, I was joking. I said I think it's the age of the jack of all trades. Like we have come to the age of the jack of all trades, because you don't, in technology, in certain fields, in certain things, you don't have to have the in-depth knowledge. You can have that extra added, machine learning or whatever it is to help you, but you still have to have the craft. You still have to have the design capability. You still have to have the vision. You still have to be the director of everything. It's just a different skill set used a different way, right?
Yeah, I
We
totally
don't.
agree. And like you're so far ahead of AI compared to me, obviously. But I am very much learning that if you don't use AI, you are getting left behind. However, that does not mean that you can just sit on your butt and do nothing. Like you still have to have the drive, like you said, the vision, the
Mhm.
discipline to actually work on it. Because even with AI, it is still easy, but you still have to actually do it and have the vision and bring it to AI. And it's
Right.
not
And you have
just
to
like,
tell it when it's wrong, because I kind of joke. I'm like, it's either like a kid, or an intern. But like, let's say you tell the kid, right, go do the dishes. And they go do the dishes. Oh, yeah, everybody's happy, right? So then you're like, do the dishes, mow the lawn, and take out the trash. And then it's like, do the dishes, yes, and then take the trash and put it out on the lawn. No, no, that's not what I asked for, you know? So it's just like you can't,
yeah.
you
Give it a
still
couple of
have to,
years and it will be taking the trash out and putting a new bin liner and everything without you having to ask.
probably, yes.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, anyways, you have to know how to direct it.
Yeah.
And then, like, again, there's always the human element. Like, with your coaching, you need someone to continue to, I mean, you have to be self-motivated, but it also helps to have accountability and helps to have somebody help self-motivate you. I had, friends that I sent my little, screenshots of what I was doing. I remember Strava when it first came out. I don't know if it does this way, but you could take a picture and attach it to a run. And I love creativity and I love photography. So I always made sure when I did a walk or a run, as I started to jog, that I took some cool picture of my neighborhood or the lake or the park or the downtown area, whatever. And I attached it to the run, and then I sent it to my friends. And I'm like, look, I'm getting faster.
That's really cool.
Um, so that was
You
really
need a
cool.
support
So I
system.
think you need someone like there has to be a human. You can't just be like, hey, AI, make a plan for me. Well, you still have to do the plan, and it's not going to motivate you,
Yeah.
right?
It's like, I mean, you can get the plan, you can get the meal plan. There's so much information out there, but why are people still struggling?
Yes.
That's kind
Right.
of, yeah. And hopefully I can help with that. Anyway, so you accomplished something amazing that you thought you couldn't. You did that. Were there any days where you messed up? Maybe you really struggled and you kind of backtracked for a little bit. Or you were kind of like, I don't know if I can do this. You hear people messing up on their diets and things like that. Was there any like a day that sticks out to you that you were kind of, or were you just,
Well, I'll I'll answer the question, but maybe not back then, because the only time I didn't mess up. I don't know. I was just on a focused, and again, it was the pandemic in the beginning, so like literally there wasn't anything else to do. Which was great too, because no, you're not going to happy hour. You can't meet with the vendors. You're not eating out, and I really don't like to eat out anyways. So it was. I say that. I mean, some people went the opposite way in the pandemic. I thought it was a lot easier to be strict on diet and everything. The pandemic actually made it easy for me, because like there was nothing else to do besides work and work out and eat well. I mean, it was just very simple for me. So the only thing I had a problem with is that I was eating so healthy. I didn't have any enough fat in my diet. So I kind of like plateaued for like a week, and I'm like, how is this? And then I had to add fat in. Like, don't just get not like plain yogurt, get the 5%, whatever. So I had to actually like increase my calories, right? So I had to learn that. Um, so that was one time where the dip went flat for like a week, and then intermittent fasting was always easy for me. But then one day I thought I'm like, hey, I'm going to try this alternating 24s, like eat 3 meals and the next day eat one. And then that was like too much weight loss. I lost like 2 pounds a day, and then my hair started to fall out. So that was really bad. Like, don't do that.
yeah,
Like,
don't do that.
when you're really on the training, like, be careful. Like, don't try something a little too
Anyone's
crazy.
gathered by now, Teresa's an extremist. Like, not mine
So,
straight.
no, no. So there that wasn't a problem then. But then when the world gets back to normal, I get a new job. I don't really want to leave Minnesota. I'm traveling back and forth. Every 2 weeks flying back and forth for 4 years, which I loved. I never wanted to give that up, but it got too expensive, right? You can't have an apartment in two states with the rates and the expense rates right now. I mean, my apartment in 8 years doubled in cost, even more than doubled in cost. And then I just couldn't. I'm like, I will save a lot of money if I just buy a house. So I bought a house a year ago here in North Carolina, and it's been hard to move from my friends, My family really isn't necessarily there, but still, you could go see your family on a weekend, right? And then just being on the lakes and being in the city and just everything. And it wasn't that I was depressed. Matter of fact, you're going to laugh about me and AI. So I was on a plane and I asked ChatGPT, I'm like, I wasn't really depressed and I'm not really sure what was going on. And I wasn't really motivated. Like, what was going on? And it's like, you were grieving. And then I'm like, wow, that's really true. Grieving, like losing like that lifestyle and those things that I loved. So yeah, I had like a last year of kind of being unmotivated, right? Not working out, eating okay. Like, it hasn't been a problem really. I don't really have an eating. Like, I'm not overeating and anything like that, but just like definitely not doing anything. Like, just being tired at the end of the day and then just like sitting down, right? And instead of going out and doing stuff. So that's been hard. And then just kind of like seriously unmotivated, kind of bored. And then I decided, because I'm an extremist, right, that I was going to build an app for the iStore because now I can develop with AI. And then I thought, when I started doing this, anybody could do this. And now I've realized that is not true. This is the hardest thing ever. Every skill I've ever learned in technical, every skill, from security to databases, I won't even go into it, but I've had to use to make this app. But it re-motivated me. It's like my brain was challenged again. I was challenged again. Now I want to work out again. And now I'm like, I want to like do stuff. And so I think for me, yeah, I can be an extremist. Like, I'll either just go and like, I'm not doing anything for a year or I'm going to do a triathlon. So I have to be careful with myself. And I have to learn, you can never stop learning about yourself. Even at my age, that you have to learn about how you are. And I think back to accountability and talking to people, I think that's one thing. I think I got a little too like by myself here in North Carolina, and just I need to spend more time you inspiring me, so and then to chat with people and just be like, I don't know. So anyways, I think that was my dip, right? It wasn't like during me losing weight. That was actually pretty straightforward. But now I think I want to go see my physician and be like, okay, like, here's two pictures. Here's me at 140 pounds, like totally ripped, like triathlon. Like, my doctor's like, okay, you need to gain weight. This is not healthy. You shouldn't have under 10% body fat for a woman, right? And then me now, like, I just need to figure out, how do I be that person in the middle? So for me, it's like, how do I be a middle? How do you do the middle?
So it's interesting you say that. So when I walked away from professional golf, I think I lasted 3 months without a goal. And I'm not talking about like a business, like I just became a trainer. It wasn't like, a business goal or serve my clients or whatever it was. It was like my own goal, like something that I'm like, that's so scary or so impossible, like almost impossible. I want to do it.
And yes, that's it. That's the kind of goal I need. Yes.
And it's like, that's what gets me up in the morning. Like, I love it. I absolutely love it. It just so happens it ties in with my job. But I think it's finding that thing that's like, that's new, that's different. I think I can do that. And I think everyone kind of needs that. And a lot of people, that's why a lot of people do struggle when they lose the weight. They can't keep it off. I think there's a slight like lack of maybe knowledge there as well, because yes, your maintenance calories are shifted and we can get into that. But their goal was a certain weight, or like, to do a triathlon or whatever it is. And once they do it, it's like, well, what's next? And it's very common with bodybuilders too. It's like they have this show date, they perform, what's next? And then they're like 4 boxes of cookies deep and they're like, oh crap. So yeah, it's like having...
For me, it's 4 hours of like working on the computer and not moving. That, oh crap, not 4 hours of cookies. I don't have a 4-hour cookie problem. I have a 4 hours of like banging on the keyboard. And then being like, oh crap, it's midnight.
But I have, knowing you now, I have full faith that you will find that kind of like switch, and it will be like, ooh, that's the thing. And it might be something that will shock you. I mean, even with this bodybuilding stuff, like, I never thought in a million years I'd be stepping on a bodybuilding show. Like, what the heck? But I love it. And it's, like I said, it drives me. I think everyone needs that. They need something out with their work and their demands of family or whatever it is. They need something for themselves, something they can work towards. And I think you'll find something. You will. I know what you're like. Like you said, even after you listen to this podcast, maybe this is like your
No,
inspiration.
I am not listening to this. I cried. I rambled.
No, you
There's no.
didn't. No, you didn't. Well, you did cry, but you didn't ramble. No.
Thank you. You're right. Everyone needs a goal for themselves.
Hmm.
And it's not being selfish to have a goal for yourself. Matter of fact, people around you want you to have that. They want you to be the best version of yourself
Hmm.
because it just makes you probably easier to get along with. But I mean, like, seriously, like, sometimes, especially the women that I know that have demands of jobs and demands of family and, elderly parents that they're trying to balance taking care of. And then they feel guilty doing anything for themselves. And I think it's important to know that all those people in your life that you're doing stuff for also want you to do something for yourself.
The I'm high on quotes today, but the quote that's like, "You gotta love yourself before you can love anyone else." It's so flipping
Yep.
true, and I use that with my clients all the time. Like I'll tell them that, like if you focus on yourself, and I'm not saying like 24/7, like just if you focus like an hour in the morning where you can get up and you go work out and that's your time, that helps you, your health, mental, emotional, spiritual, whatever it is. You show up better for your family, for your friends,
Yep.
for your job. It kind of feeds into it, and you bring your best self. And if you bring your best self, like if you need a workout, why not? It's not selfish. But I get it. A lot of people, and I have my moments too, but a lot of people do think that they have to be selfish in order to reach their goals.
Right. Yep.
And it's not. It's not at all. What would you say was harder? Would you say carrying the extra body fat or losing it or keeping it off?
Ooh, that's a really good question.
I know, I've been dying to
You
ask you
know,
that.
my team always laughs when I say that because when someone says that's a really good question, it's usually like a stalling technique, um, or a hmm, um, it's interesting. You don't realize how hard it is to carry the weight until you lose weight and then you pick up something heavy and think this isn't even half of what I used to carry. Like I can't even lift 120 pounds, let alone carry down my joints, right? um so even 40 pounds just picking up, I mean, that's typically what someone can lift, right? 40 pounds, I mean, it's like, and then throw it on your shoulder and think that this is like carried around this and more all the time. um I remember when I was losing weight, I would just be at the grocery store or somewhere, and I'd be like, it's just random people. I'd be like, that would be fine. Like, I just need to like lose that much weight. Like, they weren't like super skinny or super fit or anything. I was just like, that would be perfect. Like, I want at least, I just want that. I don't want anything more than that. Don't think it has to be like what I did end up doing. But I was just like, that looks good. So now when I'm mad about like how I am right now, and I feel like I should be thinner, I'm like, you were the person that you looked at and said that would be great. So
Hmm.
stop like thinking you need more. But now you're going to get me to cry again because I was going to say, you know,
Promise it's not my intention to bring people out and
no,
make them
no, I
cry.
didn't.
I do have
No,
that effect on people, so I don't know what it like. My clients cry all the time. It's weird.
because you generally are asking someone, and when someone's talking about weight, it's such a personal thing. People have so much emotion about it.
Oh yeah.
It's like you you don't even want to look at your face in the mirror when you're that overweight. You know, it's like you just like, I don't want, I don't even want to see that person.
Hmm.
That's the way I felt sometimes. So there's nothing harder than that, right? So I thought losing weight compared to that was super simple. Again, it was just set a goal. And again, for me, the pandemic made it so much easier. Like you couldn't do anything. Like I know you could stay home and eat cookies all day, but for me, it was just like, I'm not going out. I'm not, I'm just like, I mean, I've got all this time, I don't have any distraction. I, I can just, sometimes I just sit down and be like, okay, this is a good reminder for myself. If I watch this, uh, sit down and just be like, just sit in the workout room for 10 minutes, just go walk for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, walk one direction, 15 minutes. Once you walk 15 minutes, I'm like, let's keep going. But if you just sit there amongst the weights, one of them will call to you and just be like, pick me up.
I
you
love
know,
that.
sometimes you just have to like put on your workout stuff and be like, why am I wearing this really tight
You just have to
spandex
start.
shit? Let's go actually work out and then get it off. I mean, so I don't know. I I think the losing weight was easy. Like again, I have to remind myself that being overweight was not only physically hard, it was very emotionally hard.
Mm-hmm.
I had grown up as an athlete. I didn't even want to see the person in the mirror. How did I get like that? What happened?
Yeah. I want to talk about emotions for a second, and I know you know that. I can do
You
some
put that as a
talking if you
question.
want.
You probably didn't realize I was
But
actually this sensitive.
hey, it's not sensitive. You're strong. It's not being sensitive at all. I promise you. But emotions is tied to it. Absolutely. I think people forget that because when you're working on your goals, especially in the fitness space, you judge people and you judge yourself on either the scale or what you see in the mirror. For
Yeah.
Americans, that I'm saying mirror, by the way, not mirror, but a mirror. But you don't see really like how that person's feeling, what they've been through, their struggles. Like, if you look at everyone in the gym, everyone's got a story, everyone's got a struggle. They're in that gym because they're trying to fix something about themselves. But the emotions behind it almost get like suppressed. It's like, I'm just gonna like nose to the grindstone, get this weight off, and just kind of hide myself, not tell people how I really feel, and that works both ways, whether you're carrying extra body weight or you're have really low body weight, body fat. It's even if you think of eating disorders, and
Yep.
that is a mental game. But people look at the person and just think, wow, look how skinny he or she is, or look how big he or she is. They don't see what's going on between 6 inches between their ears. Emotions is a big part of it, and no matter where you're at in your journey, I think people need to, before they even start, and it's uncomfortable, but I tell people, I'm like, find your why, find what you're really doing. It's not about a goal weight, even though they'll tell me their goals are to get to a certain weight. Eventually, as we start working together, they usually tell me they don't want to die anytime soon, and the time they have left on this planet, they want it to be decent. That's typically what everyone's why is. And that's morbid, it's uncomfortable, I get it, but it's true. And
That's a good point. Sorry.
oh no, you're fine. You go.
I it was the eye doctor that also helped me. Yeah, so my one doctor said, your blood sugar is high, you're getting to be pre-diabetic. You're going to be diabetic, he's like, we're going to send you to the eye doctor. And I'm like, eye doctor? He's like, yep. So I went to the eye doctor, and the eye doctor is like, do you know why you're here? And I'm like, diabetic eye exam. And he's like, the reason we do this, and it was the University of Minnesota Medical Center, which is great because you have all the teaching and everything, and I love learning. So he explained everything, and he's like, your eye is the only place that we can see your blood vessels. He's like, you can't see your blood vessels in your hands and your feet. He's like, but we can look in your eyes, and we can see your blood vessels, and we can see if you are having problems. He's like, because when your body has blocked blood vessels and it makes new ones. And he's like, it's like a detour, like when they're working on the highway. He's like, the highway is great, and the detour is always, it's not as good, right? He's like, so when your body makes new blood vessels, they're like detours. They're just not as strong. And he causes all these problems, and that's what we're looking for. And I go, very interesting. All right, let's do this. So he did the whole thing, and he's like, you don't have a diabetic problem. And he's like, that's a recent situation. He's like, but you have high blood pressure, and you've had high blood pressure for a long time. And he's like, your blood vessels are fraying. If you don't do something about it, he's like, you're probably going to have a stroke in 3 to 5 years. And someone who likes to use their brain like I do, that was it. That was like, oh no, I do not want to have a stroke. So then I came back a year later, lost, all that weight. And he's like, I heard it had something to do with me. And I said, yeah, you told me, like, if I don't get my shit together, I'm going to die. He's like, I really don't think I said that. I'm like, that's what I heard. And the student, was laughing. So, I forget even that happened because it was important, but it wasn't the only motivation. I wanted to look at myself in the mirror again because I just got all emotional about how hard that was. I wanted to like be one of those average people at the grocery store. I just wanted to be average again. So I don't know why I'm upset being average.
Well, you're not. You're definitely not average. You're
No, I
definitely
know,
not
but I
average.
mean,
I'm
like
glad you're
when you
not.
go to a triathlon, you're working out all the time. I don't know, So
Yeah.
I'm like, I just had, like I said, I have to find that middle ground, and
So
I'm getting back towards that.
did you feel you stood out before you lost all the weight? Like if you walked
You
into the grocery
know,
store, did you feel like people were looking at you?
no, I don't. But it's harder to be on a plane. You
Hmm.
know, like when I went to Hawaii, I wanted to do a helicopter, but there's weight limitations for helicopters, and so I had to like rent my own helicopter, which actually was pretty cool, anyways. Because I thought if I actually went with a family, it'd be like, oh, our kids need to see this too, and I'd be paying $500, and I'd have to like lean over a kid. So I'm like, it was probably a good thing, anyways. But I was so terrified of the weight. Like I'd go to the helicopter thing, and they'd be like, oh, ma'am, you're overweight. You're too heavy for the helicopter. So I was like, and then I don't feel like I really stood out, but I dress in black anyways, but I always just dress in black because I feel like it makes yourself smaller. So I kind of always try to like just be in the background, right? So kind of yes, but I really didn't think about it too much. But for travel, definitely. Like seriously, being thin traveling is super easy. You fit anywhere. I mean, like I had a job, and we flew a private plane because the company actually owned planes, because they owned an airline, so it wasn't like super super fancy. But so they're like, well, since we have Teresa and she's so little, we don't have to stop and get fuel in Chicago. And I'm like, well, that's cool. No one ever said that to me before. So I
Yeah.
mean, I think that I didn't think about it that way, but I did enjoy like the kind of the ease of being smaller. So I don't know if that motivates anybody, but it's true, you know.
That leads me into my final question. People that are listening right now that maybe relate to you or maybe in that position, maybe, being high cholesterol, diabetic, something like that is around the corner from them. Whatever they're relating to you with right now, they're sitting there thinking, I don't know, what would you tell someone? And maybe that's carrying the extra weight, and maybe they've been told by the doctor already, or maybe they're not, but they know they need to do something. What would you tell them?
Yeah, I think kind of what I tried to allude to before is that you have to remember that you are worth it. And the people that you are doing all these things for also think that you're worth it. Like, people forget how important they are. You know, all these other people depend on them, care about them, you know, just want them to be happy, want them to be healthy, want them to be able to, you know, I don't know if the motivation is running after the grandkids or the motivation is like, you know, being able to go. Seriously, when I lost weight, I went to the Mall of America, which is in Minnesota, right? And I went to every store. Not that I bought anything in these stores, but I wanted to go to every single store and be like, I could buy anything in this store. Anything in this whole entire 4-story Mall of America, largest mall in the US. That was a fun day. And I also walked like 5 miles during that day, so that was great too. But you know, it isn't about material things. It was just about the joy and being proud of myself that like I don't know. And but the thing is, everybody around you wants you to feel that joy. Everyone in your life wants you to feel that pride. It's like people do so much for everyone else, and they think that's what they're supposed to do, but you're actually supposed to do stuff for yourself too.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I tell them, I'd say you're worth it.
Yeah. I love that. I love it. So if anyone's listening right now, and I say this to my clients too, because I see it in so many people. If they're on the fence about starting to go to the gym, they ask me questions, or even like I said, clients when they're checking in with me, it's like a lot of the time I'm reminding them like remember why you started, who you're doing this for, and it is like everyone is worth it. So if you're thinking,
And don't be afraid, like you said, don't be afraid to look dumb. Sometimes like when you're an introvert, I know that nobody in this call is believing that I'm an introvert, but I am. And you know, you're like afraid to go to the gym or, go to the pool or whatever, because you don't want someone to look at you, like you said earlier. But really, if you actually looked around, I mean, everybody does something wrong. Like, seriously, and if you can just laugh at yourself and have support of someone like you, Megan, or your friends, or like whatever, nobody does everything right. Like, really, it's okay. Just don't be afraid to, like, just try it.
Yeah.
Walk 15 minutes in one direction.
The previous guest I had on, Dustin Davis, really good episode, so if you've not listened to it yet, listen to it. But he said, imagine what your life would be like if you didn't do it. And imagine what your life would be like if you did. And ask yourself, is it worth it? And most of the time it is, but the fear holds so many people back. And I can relate to that so much. And we could have a whole episode on being introverted, because believe it or not, I'm introverted too. I said that to you before we started recording. I'm like, I don't know why I do these, because they make me nervous and I feel uncomfortable. But I also love it. I love hearing people's stories. But it's the fear. Oh, it's such a killer. And it's something I try battle, help my clients battle every single day. And whether that's gym anxiety, whether it's, at work, or, feeling the scale, whatever it is. But even from taking the first step, that's the hardest part, is taking that first step. And then once you kind of get going, you realize that the gym actually isn't that terrifying. And a piece of grilled chicken actually tastes good with the right seasonings. You just kind of roll with it. But staying and living in a life where you're just, being a slave to fear.
No, not good.
That's my biggest fear. And
Really?
that's kind of, that is, I don't know, again, this is not about me, so I'm not going to say too much, but that is one of my biggest fears, is like, that's why I'm stepping up and staging a bodybuilding show, because that terrifies me. The training part doesn't. With golf, I love the practicing on my own. I love to go out on the weekends on my own. It did not bother me. But teeing up in a competition, and the bigger the field, the more nervous I would get. It's like the LPGQ school. Yeah, absolutely. I would get nervous. And my comfort zone is, even to this day, my comfort zone is kind of like my own space. But I've also understood as well, like, there's no growth in that. If I just stuck to what I was comfortable with, I wouldn't lift heavier weights. I wouldn't push my body to the limit with, come showtime. I wouldn't hit that tee shot. The amount of like mental strength it would take me just to like step up and hit a tee shot. My body responds and I get shaky. And Mickey will tell you the amount of times I'd hit my tee shot, I'd walk over to my hands would be like this. And it's also that you get like the fire. It's like, I flipping did that,
Right, like the biking around the corner in the triathlon. My friend told me something it stuck with me also. She said, someone had said to her, you want to run faster? And she's like, yeah. And, well, then run faster, like train faster, like put the treadmill up to another mile an hour, like run faster, train faster, go faster. If you want to like have sustained running faster. So like you said, if you want to lift, if you want to be stronger, lift more, lift heavy, try it. Like,
the growth in anything, and I've made a bunch of Instagram posts on this, like, I think people are kind of getting what my niche is now, but it's, you got to be uncomfortable, and you can't grow if you're just staying kind of cruising. You've got to, think about the thing that you want to do, that you're maybe like, it's almost in your head, it's like almost impossible, and just go flip and do it. But just start. That's the thing. I always like, if Mickey ever gets like in his own head or can't do something, or even with my stuff, like I'll say like, oh, like I'm thinking about doing this, and he'll be like, I don't know if that would work. And I'm like, do you believe that Jesus walked on water? He'd be like, yeah. And I'm like, well, there you go. I'm like, if Jesus can walk on water, I'm like, I think this can happen. But it's true, and we kind of get in our own way, like, especially like we kind of go by, worldly attitudes, or what the world should think of us, or how we should act. And I'm at a point in my life, this has happened very recently, where I'm kind of just, I don't know, I don't like being normal. I like chasing after what is different, what other people would be like, you're nuts. And I'd be like, yeah, I know. Tell me something I don't know. But it's, giving into the fear is way worse than not at least trying. I'd rather try and fail than just sit and think, what if? That's good.
Right. One of my favorite things, and I talk to friends about this, is looking up at the stars. So when I first became the infrastructure director, which is a big step, and there were people in the company that doubted it, so it was a lot of extra pressure also. And I wanted to change the culture and the way we did things, but it wasn't the way things were always done, right? And so I would go out on my deck and I would lay on the deck and I'd look up at the stars and I'd be like, just because I'm doing things different doesn't mean I'm doing things wrong. And so whenever I doubt myself, I'm like, go outside, look outside, look at the stars, and trust yourself. It's kind of like my little thing in my head, because throughout my career, I've done things different. I do not do things the same way in IT or that other people do. But I'm like, just trust myself, like, because I've done the research, I've looked at the strategy, I see the end goal. Just trust, even if it's not the way every single other person would get there. It's the way I'm going to get there.
I
So
love that.
look up at the stars and trust yourself.
Tonight.
Hey, you could move to Minnesota. Well, Chris, you're from Scotland. I mean, you can walk on water half the year. So
Yeah, I remember, I think you did tell me that a few months ago, and I've forgotten it, and I think that's exactly what I needed to hear today. See, I learn from these things as well. I learn a lot.
I always learn from you as well.
Interviews. Anyway, Theresa, thank you so much for your time, your vulnerability, your story. It's so inspiring, and I learned a little bit more about you as well, which I knew I would. I said it to you at the start. I was like, there's many things that I'm going to be like, oh wow, but you truly are. You're a dear friend.
Thank you.
I love you. Mickey loves you. My mom and dad, they love you.
Oh, I love you. I love you all too.
Their dog Hershey, she loves you. But thank you so much for coming on.
Well, thank you.
And
it was a wonderful conversation. All right, bye.
Bye.